Hello, friends. Welcome back to Trauma Patient, the Black Plague. If you are a fan of the dark, the pain, the mysterious, the unknown, the unseen, and the unheard, well, welcome to my channel and welcome to me. Welcome to my reality where I am batshit crazy, balls to the walls, and let me tell you, just plain and simply off the freaking rails. Welcome to this show where I'm the trauma patient and you're the therapist. Yes, that is what you are. I need help and you're a good person, so you are going to help. I come from a very incestuous background, and like I said, it has caused me to be balls to the walls crazy, and I need someone to talk to. So why not talk to you? This is an ongoing story time, so I'm just going to pick up where I last left off. And I do believe at that point I was 7. I just had a traumatic incident in the pool where me and my sister very nearly drowned. We were saved by my dad, and so life goes on. By the way, I'm from the great old state of Dallas, Texas, and this scene right here takes place in Oak Cliff, just off of 52nd Street. So if any of you guys are from Oak Cliff, well, then you know exactly where I'm talking about. So life goes on at this point, okay? Life goes on at this point. And like I said before, my mother and my father were always hot and cold. So they were together at the point of the drowning, and now they have broken up at this point. So my mother meets someone new, and his name is Tyrone. Tyrone would be the onset of what destroyed my life. We talked a little bit earlier about some happy times, some not so happy times. Well, this is the start of everything. This this is it right here. So she meets this guy named Tyrone. And right away, me and my sister knew he didn't like kids. He didn't like kids at all. Although he came from a really good family. Like his mother was an amazing woman. His sisters were wonderful people. And of course, he had great nieces and nephews. But he himself, this man had a darkness within him that simply couldn't be stopped. So life goes on. We actually move into his house, and it was a cute little house. It was a nice little wood frame house, and my sister and I shared a room, and obviously my parents had their own room. And at this time, the school that I went to, it was named Benjamin Franklin Durrell, and I believe my sister, did she go to? I think she went to Zumwalt. Yeah, I think my sister went to Zoom Walk for those of you that are in Dallas. So that's where we are, and it was just the cutest little house ever. I really liked the house. It was down the street from Woods Out back in the day. It had a candy house right on the corner, and the man that sold candy there, it was him and his wife, but he was the main seller. You would see his wife there, but for the most part, Mr. Perry ran the candy house. And so it was so great. You know, whenever you would have a little change, you could run down to the candy house and get now laters, y'all, like real now laters. These now laters that they make today are not the same as back in the day. Today they're chewy. Before they were like a harder piece of candy. That the best windmill cookies. Mr. Perry, he didn't sell food. Some candy houses would sell actual hot food, but Mr. Perry did not. It was chips, cookies, candy, and soda. But it was still great. So anyway, my mother meets this guy, Tyrone, and we are in his house. And right off the bat, I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all. And so, living in his house, obviously, my sister and I were always charged with having to clean up. It's, chores that any other kid would have, right? We would have to clean up and make sure that the house was always clean when the parents got off work. I don't remember what Tyrone did for a living, and honestly, I don't think I ever cared. But at that point, my mother was still working. I think, was she at the hospital at this point? I think she still was at the hospital. Um, but either way, my mother would get off at around 3 something in the afternoon. I know she would get off right, just after we got home from school. She would arrive home, so she must have gotten off sometime around 3 and 4, somewhere in that neighborhood. So anyway, as always, I would walk myself to school, right? And um, when I would walk back, because I was a latchkey kid and I was that way from the very beginning when I started Head Start. And so I was a latchkey kid from that moment on. So uh, Durrell was just farther down the road from my sister's school, Zoom Walk. So I would walk up from Durrell to meet my sister, and then together we would walk home. And of course, when you get home, homework and then chores. So we always did chores. And every Saturday morning was a clean-a-thon for the entire house. Not to mention on weekends, he would like to go and visit his family, which did not live too far away from him. But either way, so that was get the chores all done and then go to his family's house where adults would be adults. There was a lot of record playing, a lot of music, of course, a lot of dancing. And then, of course, the kids would go outside and play. And one of the things that we used to love to play was slip and slide, and that'll come back in later. But just keep that in your mind. We used to love to play slip and slide outside, and it was like a water game. It was a little water sport kind of thing that you could play in the yard. And so that was nearly every weekend we would go to his mother's home, and that's what we would all do. His mother was an amazing cook and an even better baker. She really got down in the kitchen, and it was wonderful. And she was really a great woman. You could really tell that she really enjoyed having her grandchildren around, and that just really made her come alive. She really enjoyed being in the kitchen, cooking. She used to get her drink on too. She did. She got her drink on too. Her and her little man Carl, she would get her drink on as well. But she really enjoyed cooking and just hanging out with her children that would come over, and then of course bring her grandkids. And me and my sister really had a good time over there at her house, because at her house it was a relax for us, right? We didn't It wasn't so tense and uptight, because when we were at home it was uptight. I will say, for mothers, when you have children and then you meet, your honey, whoever that may be, you really do have to be careful and vet them, because your children know whether or not the person that you're with likes children. And more important than that, likes them, because they know. And when a child is in an environment where they know they are disliked wholeheartedly and their parent is with that person, it really does make your child feel like, that this person hates me, and yet you're still with them. So you must hate me too. And I don't really say that to point fingers, but I say that to you coming from a child that has lived through that, being a child that has lived through that and gone through that. There is no worse feeling for them to feel like their parents hate them. And then you go out and get into a relationship, and then you seemingly to your child purposely pick someone that actually hates them. Because how could you not see it? It was the way he would always talk to us. He would always talk down to us. Everything was not an ask or even a question, it was always a direct order or an accusation. And then you know, you force your child to respect them, right? Because you tell your children, right? You need to respect your elders. Let me check that just a bit. You need to respect your elders, so you're forced to submit to their will and say and do nothing about the behavior that you see as a child that you know is wrong. And then you wonder and you ask yourself, how could your parent, how could your mother not see this? How could they not see how this person talks to me, how this person treats me? This person hates me. And it makes your child feel like you must hate them too, or even worse, you simply don't care. And that's how we felt. We felt like she just didn't care. He would talk to us bad, he would treat us bad, he would say whatever he wanted, he would do whatever he wanted, and we felt like she didn't care. She didn't love us enough to care. And that's when that door opens to abuse and harm, because your child has been sitting for weeks and months tolerating this horrible person that they know hates them, dislikes them, and wishes they weren't there. And their parent, clearly you can see how they talk because they do it in front of you. You know, he would talk bad in front of us, order us in front of her, make nasty accusations in front of her, and nothing would ever happen. So it made it seem to us as though he could do whatever he wanted to do, and she would do absolutely nothing about it. She would not defend nor protect us. So again, I say this statement that opens the door for abuse, because see, your child feels like, well, if you see him talk to me this way, you see him treat me this way, you are doing nothing about it, then you must be okay with it, and it's okay. So abuse can sneak into your doors, and there you are. And that is a very lonely and isolating feeling, to feel like you're surrounded by people that don't love you and don't care about you. And even worse than that, you can't escape them because they're your parents. So that's how we felt on a continuous basis. So when we were at his mother's house, Mrs. V, it was just a release. You know, we could just actually relax and have fun. We could actually play without getting yelled at. We could play without being told, get out of my sight, go outside, keep that noise. That just everything. It just seemed like everything we did was wrong. We could do absolutely nothing right. Nothing. Not even chores. We even cleaned wrong. Everything. We made the bed wrong. We swept the floors wrong. We cleaned the bathroom wrong. We put things away wrong. We did our homework wrong. Everything was wrong. So we would always escape to outside. But this is still back in the days where, be in before dark. So we only had so much escape. So we had school, we had outside, and then we had Mrs. V's mom. I mean, his mom, Mrs. V. And, you know, those being at her home and just hanging out there, those were some of the good times. Those were some of the good times. But when it was time to go, and okay, how the adults start rounding up the kids. Okay, y'all, it's time to go. Go ahead and say your goodbyes. And you have to run around and give everybody a hug and kiss everybody goodbye. That's when sadness crept in. That's when sadness crept in, because now you knew what you were in for when you got home. You knew what you were in for when you got home. And life just went on like that day to day. It just went on like that day to day. And so my mother worked the morning shift, so she had to leave for work early. She would be gone by 5, somewhere around 5 in the morning, something to that effect. She would be gone right around 5 ish in the morning. So this had to be summertime because my sister and I weren't in school yet. My mother was gone to work, so this had to be uh, summer. I'm pretty sure it was summer. And so we could always hear my mom getting up and getting ready to go. But on this particular early morning, I don't recall hearing her leave, but whatever. So me and my sister shared a room, shared a bed. It was a queen size bed. I don't think, I think his room was just a 2 bedroom house because it was just our room and their room, and then the living room, kitchen, very small dining nook, driveway. And if y'all live in Dallas, y'all know 57th Street, those little wood frame houses, especially from back in the day in the 80s. Um, so I'm asleep and I wake up to all this rustling around in the bed. The sheets are all over the place and the bed is bopping all around, and I could hear cat. I could hear my sister. It's like she was trying to scream, but it can't scream. It was very, very muffled, like something was over her mouth. It was like a like a muffled kind of almost scream, but not really being allowed to scream. So I turn over to see what was wrong with her, and then that's when I look up at her because I'm about to say something, and I could just see the tears rolling down her face. I could see the tears rolling down her face. And when she looked over and turned her head at me, she was speaking with her eyes because her eyes were so strained. And she reached down for my hand, and I was squeezing her hand tight because when I looked up over in her at her face, I could see him on my sister grunting. And I knew what was happening because, like I said, there was never a subject in my home that was taboo. I could hear him grunting, and I could see her wanting to scream. So when I looked up at her face, the reason she couldn't scream was because he had put his hand over her mouth and he was holding his hand down over her mouth. And that's why she was muffled and couldn't scream. So she was looking at me with absolute stark terror in her eyes. And so, as I had continued looking up at her, even for that brief moment, I was just in a state of shock. So I was holding her hand so tight so tight. And then suddenly he was done. And I remember when he got himself up, but he leaned himself down on her face and just pushed her face away and then got up. And we were just there, left holding hands, crying. And I said, "Are you okay?" And she did that. And then just cried. And then we just cried. And so morning came, and then, we just did our chores, and we didn't say much of anything for the rest of the day. The only thing I remember saying to her was, "Do you want to tell Mama?" And she said she ain't gonna do nothing but get mad. That's all she gonna do. She ain't gonna do nothing but get mad. Because that's what he told us before he left. If you tell your mama, you're gonna get a whooping. That's all he said. After he pushed her face down and he got up and left before he should, because the door, it was a Jack and Jill. So it was our bedroom, bathroom, their bedroom. So he walked out of our bedroom through the bathroom to the master bedroom. And as he had pushed her face up, pushed her face down and got off, because he used it like he used her face to push himself off, to push himself off. And then if you tell your mama, you're gonna get a whooping. And we were terrified of her whippings. We were terrified because her whippings were not a whipping, it was just an outright beating. It was an outright. Oh, I'm trying not to mess up my makeup like I did the other uh, videos. It was an outright beating. It was nowhere near a whipping. It was nowhere near a spanking. It was an outright beating. Because, and oftentimes, if she couldn't find her belt, she would use an extension cord. So you did not want to get a whipping. That you did anything to, and that's another thing. They know this. See, they know this. And see, I tell you, women, you have your kids around these any and every kind of man, or you'll have with your daughters, and your sons don't escape it either, because your sons get abused the exact same way. And then they also treat your sons bad too. That boy need to learn how to act like a man. That boy need to just be laying around, ain't doing nothing. That boy need to be outside doing some yard work. That boy need to be doing some chores. That boy need to be talking to your kids any old kind of way. And see, these people that are predators, they choose women like that. They choose women like that. Women that will just, they want a man. They want a man. Yep, they got to have them little man. And then when you have your kids around these people, they don't like your kids. They don't want to be up. They don't want to be daddy to your kids. They are just there for the good timing. And see, he knew that we were afraid of our mother. He knew that. He knew that we were absolutely terrified of our mother. And therefore, that threat, you know, you're going to get a whipping, that silenced us. That's all he needed to say. That is all he needed to say. And that was instant obeisance and silence instantly. And we said nothing, absolutely nothing, because we were terrified, absolutely terrified. And he knew it and he used it to his advantage. He used it. And it's just the worst feeling ever. If you are in that kind of situation, if your kids are telling you that this man doesn't like them, or you have a child that was once happy and carefree, and now all of a sudden, the moment you got into this new relationship, your child has changed. Your child is a different person. They are reclusive. They don't want to hang out. They don't want to play. They hardly smile. They stay trapped in their rooms. You ask them a question, they answer the question, they have nothing else to say. When they used to be full of emotion, full of talk, full of life, and now you've got this recluse hermit, you need to look at that situation harder and stop thinking about yourself, because your children pay that bill for you. These people are they my life has been destroyed. Oh my god, I was trying to cry. My life has been absolutely destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. I was not joking when I said that I am batshit crazy. My life has been destroyed because of this. And Tyrone, it doesn't stop there. And the madness, we have a long way to go. I wish I could tell you this would be done in 75 episodes. If I could get this done in 75 episodes, that would be great. You know what? Maybe I should give myself that challenge, but I don't know, because this is nowhere, almost kind of near over, or kind of near the end. I'm still 7 at this point. And just take a look at me. I'm not 7. But I just urge you, women, please, if this sounds like you or someone you know, you need to not share this video, not just for likes, clicks, and views for me, but share it for them, and especially those children, because they destroyed my life. I am out in the world crazy, destroyed my life. In that moment, just destruction. So, oh goodness, look at that time. Okay, y'all. It's been half an hour. Uh, I'll come back, obviously, with another episode. Okay, this is far from over. Obviously, there's more to the story. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, and don't forget to come back for little old me, and go down in the comments and tell me what you think. Leave your comments, leave your advice, just your thoughts and your opinions. And yes, by the way, I have been to therapy. I say that in every episode, but yes, I have been to therapy, and more than just one. And yet, here I am. I'm on YouTube talking about it in hopes that I don't go postal. Okay? For those of you that are OGs, y'all know what that means. Anyway, y'all, thank y'all for hanging out with the trauma patient, the Black Plague, aka Pamela La La. Click that subscribe button and come back and see me again.